What is going on, everybody? Osha here, and today we're doing another deck review. This one's the third one, and I'm thinking we'd do something new, more current with what's the most recent set. So we're doing an upgrade to the Dyna Essence Brewer Precon, the WITHERBLOOM Precon through Strixhaven. So of course the commander is Dyna. So basically, whenever I sacrifice a creature, I draw a card. And this ability only triggers once. And then if I can pay 2 mana, tap her, sacrifice another creature. I gain X life and put X 1/1 counters on target creature I control, where X is the sacrifice creature's power. So looking to sacrifice a bunch of stuff, making our other creatures bigger to swing for massive damage. So and let's start with the creatures. Let's start with one that it's pretty famous on this one. Jumbo Cactuar with the ability 10,000 Needles. Whenever this creature attacks, it gets +9/9/9/9 +0 until end of turn. So you could sack him, put him on a creature that I control, and then I gain up infinite life, basically. And yeah, that's what happens with him. So that's pretty cool. And then I have Orange Frostfang with that Death Touch. Attacking creatures I control have Death Touch. Whenever a creature I control deals combat damage to a player, I can draw a card. And then I have Yahini, Undying Partisan, with Haste. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a 1/1 counter on Yahini. Sacrifice another creature, Yahini gains indestructible until end of turn. You're seeing the theme here is sacrificing creatures for fun time, which is the whole point of the deck anyways. Even the precon. Then we have Eccentric Pathfinder with the prepared ability sorcery turnstones for each opponent. I create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with when this token dies, I gain a life. And then at the beginning of each end step, if I gain life this turn, it becomes prepared. So I can keep gaining life, keep getting it prepared. It's kind of keep going, keep going. Now this one is Dino Soul Steeper. I had an extra of this specific art edition laying around because I have a Mazurek deck, which I'll probably do soon. Although it kind of runs the same way, it's a sacrifice and make your creatures bigger kind of thing. So I have the alternate art for her. So I have it on this one and the other one. So you'll see that again, I'm sure. Warden of the Grove. But so basically, when I gain life, each opponent loses a life. I can pay 1, sacrifice a creature. Diner will get the +1 plus X +0 to end of turn, where X is the sacrifice creature's power. So that's cool. That's a cool time. Warden of the Grove. This card's been pretty good for me in this deck so far. So at the beginning of my end step, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Whenever another non-token creature you control enters, it endures X, where X is the number of counters on this creature. So basically, um, each end step you get a +1/+1 counter, and then with those +1/+1 counters, you put that many +1/+1 counters on another creature that entered the battlefield. Whichever is on the +1/+1 counters on here, basically, is whatever, you know. It's like whatever the counters are on the creature at the time. So I have Stenician the Sanguinist. With the sorcery, each opponent loses X life. You gain life equal to that life lost this way. Whenever you attack, target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, this creature becomes prepared. So that's fun. Zulaport Cutthroat. Whenever this creature or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and I gain a life. So gaining life, losing life, fun time, sacrificing stuff. Now, Galta Primal Hunger. This one, if you got a lot of creatures on the field, it is. Sorry about that. It basically No, I'm sorry, not the creatures on the field. It's actually the amount of power the creatures control. So if I've over 12 power, this guy's coming in, and I've actually sacrificed him once with Dinah's ability and gave it to a weaker creature, and it swung out and won. It's pretty cool. Plus dinosaur. Another big piece of the deck, Gorma the Gullet. It's a pest frog with lifelink. And whenever another creature you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on Gorma. Non-token creatures you control enter with an additional 1+1/+1 counter on them for each creature that died under your control this turn. Fun times. Enduring Tenacity. It's an enchantment creature, so when I gain life, target opponent loses that much life. When it dies, if it was a creature, which I think normally would be a creature anyways, return to the battlefield under control as an enchantment, and then it just stays as enchantment. Evolution Witness. Um, you could pay 1 in a green. Adapt 2. If it has no +1/+1 counters, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever more counters are put on this creature, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So that's pretty cool. Bane of Progress. When it enters, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Put a 1/1 counter on this creature for each permanent destroyed this way. That's pretty busted. Blooming Bog Beast. Whenever this creature attacks, you gain 2 life, and the creatures you control gain trample, and get +X until end of turn, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. So try to get some life, have fun. Jadar, Go Caller. I'm actually probably going to skim through this because I don't want to take too much of the time. So basically, if at each end step, I create a 2/2 black zombie creature that was decayed and it can't block, but if it attacks, then I sacrifice it, and then you just keep getting zombies and zombies and zombies and zombies, and it dies. So then it still works with the deck. Belladros Witherbloom. It's the Elder Dragon of this just the precon at least. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a black green pest creature. They can pay 10 life, untap all lands I control, activate once each turn. So definitely want to get him on the field, especially if you want to use all your lands. That way you can keep sacrificing, if you got like 30 life, you just pay like 30, like, do it 3 times once each turn, and then you got some Dyna, sacrificing again and again. Which of the Moors, Death Touch, at each end step, if I gain life, each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice and return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to the hand. So that's pretty cool. Vanewitch Coven with Minache or Menace. Whenever you gain life, I may pay black. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Free Shoot Dryad with Ascend. Basically, if I control 10 or more permanents, I get the City's Blessing. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token, and then saplings I control get +2/+2 as long as you have the City's Blessing. So that's pretty cool. Gyre Sage, evolve. If whenever a creature controls, that creature has greater power, toughness than this creature, put 1/1 counter on this creature. And tap, add green for each 1/1 counter on this creature. Pretty cool. Savra, Queen of the Golgari. Whenever you sacrifice a black creature, you may pay 2. If you do, each other player sacrifices a creature. Whenever you sacrifice a green creature, you may gain 2 life. And then another key to this lovely deck, Basking Brood Scale with Devoid, has no color. Excuse me. You pay 1 and a green, adapt 1. You put a 1/1 counter on it if it has no 1/1 counters. Whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on Basking Brood Scale, you may create a 0/1 colors Eldrazi spawned creature token with sacrifice creature, add mana. So it's the same thing. You can work it with believe you can like for example, you put it on Dinah or use Dinah's ability, um, and then sacrifice. What is it? Sacrifice like a bigger creature, you get a bunch of mana. Especially if you sacrifice a Jumbo Cactuar and then you put it on Basking Brood Scale, and then you just swing out with him with the infinite mana. It's crazy almost. It's not infinite, but it's almost infinite. But it pretty much is. Another trader with haste, shadow. It can't be blocked or be blocked by only creatures with shadow. Whenever another creature is put into the graveyard, I can pay you black. If you do, return the card from the graveyard to the battlefield. Unroll Caller Zealot. Sacrifice their creature or artifact. I will you save a 1. Defiling Gimmigoth. With Menace, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, I gain a life. At the beginning of my end step, each opponent loses X life, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. So punishing other people too. Wall of Blood, pay 1 life. It gets +1/1 until end of turn. So, yeah, big blocker, you know. Morbid Opportunist. When one or more other creatures die, draw a card. This ability triggers once each turn. Sakura Tribe Elder. Basically, it's a mana thing, you know. Mazorak. Love this guy. Flying, whenever a player sacrifices another permanent, play a +1/+1 counter on each creature I control. So, that's fun too. Smothering Abomination has no color, flying. At the beginning of the upkeep, sacrifice a creature. When you sacrifice a creature, I draw a card. Elvis Mystic, Mana Dork, giving you black. Ophiomancer, each upkeep, basically you create a snake. Bitless Plunder, whenever another creature I control dies, get some treasures. Whenever Haywire Mire dies, gain 2 life, pay green, exile Tyrannog effect or creature. Road Roaster. Devour. You may sacrifice any number of creatures. This creature enters with that many +1/+1 counters. At the beginning of my end step, create a number of black 1 blacks posted with the number of 1/1 counters. Okay. Viscera Sia, sacrifice a creature, scry 1. Roast Rider, basically you get a goat when it comes in. You scry 1, you pay 3 and 2 black, exile 4 cards from your graveyard. And it escapes with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. So, basically. Crystalline Crawler. If creature enters with a +1/+1 counter for each color of mana spent to cast it, remove a +1/+1 counter from this creature, add 1 mana, tap it, remove put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So you can tap it and you get counters. Fell Beast of Mordor, Devour 1, same thing, it devour creatures, and then it gets +1/+1 counters. When there's the battlefield or attacks, target opponent loses X life, and I gain X life. X is the number 1 counters on it. Pretty cool. Pest Rescuer, upkeep, if I don't control a pest, basically I get a pest. If I gain life, get extra life. So you get added 1 more life. Merchant of Venom with Menace. Enters, each player sacrifices a creature. Whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, play with +1/+1 counter on this creature. White of Reliquary. Vigilance. This creature gains +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Tap, sacrifice another creature, search my library for a land, from the battlefield, shuffle. Bloom Droom Druid. When it enters, you may sacrifice a land. If I do, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them on the battlefield, tap them to shuffle some ramp. Enduring Vitality, which goes with the other Enduring fun time. Creatures I control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. When it dies, then it comes back with the enchantment that it was. Priest of the Forgotten Gods, tap 2, sacrifice 2 other creatures. And each opponent loses 2 life, sacrifice a creature choice, or any number of target players each lose 2 life and sacrifice a creature of their choice. And I add 2 black and draw a card. Viridian Joiner, basically tap, add amount of green to your mana pool equal to its power. So it's that. Artist, whenever another creature dies, target player uses 1 life, and I gain a life. And then we're back to Cactuar. So there's that. And then I'm just going to read off the other ones. So it's just all my lands, or my other non-basics. So Temple of Milady, Veiled Passage, Necroom Snarl, Haunted Mire, Twilight Mire, Vernal Fen, Viridescent Bog, Path of Ancestry, Woodland Cemetery, Study Hall, High Market, Festering Thicket, Llanowar Wastes, WITHERBLOOM Campus. And this is, so I'm going to talk about this one. So Susurrus Secundi, Void Altar. Interest tapped, you can tap it for black, you can station it, and then when it's stationed, you can pay a black and 1, pay 2 life, sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power. Activate as a sorcery. Terramorphic Expanse, Exiled Orchard, Bajuka Bog, Command Tower, Titan's Grave, and Turbulent Fen. And then we've got our basic swamps, our basic forests, and then arcane signet, that, and then soul ring, and then we can get into the other one. So motor vine reclamation. Whenever a creature I control dies, I gain a life and draw a card. Enchantment. At the beginning of an upkeep, you may sacrifice a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token. Oh, create. Oh, so you just create. I just created a Eldrazi token. Okay, that's cool. Assassin's Trophy. Destroy target permanent, and it searches for a land and then put it in the battlefield. WITHERBLOOM charm. Choose one. I make sacrifice a permanent. I can draw 2 cards. Gain a life, or destroy a target non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Infernal Grasp, destroy target creature, and then I lose 2 life. Plumb of the Forbidden. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may sacrifice 1 or more creatures. When you do, copy this spell for each creature sacrificed this way. I draw a card and lose life. Alright, let's get to our sorceries. I think that's the bulk of like anything other than lands and creatures and other stuff. Ominous Harvest with Gravestorm. Copy it for each permanent into a graveyard. Target player draws a card, loses a life. Toxic Deluge. As initial cost to cast a spell, pay X life. All creatures get -X, -X until end of turn. Pest Infestation. Destroy up to X target artifacts and or enchantments. Create twice the 1/1 black and green pest creature tokens. Immoral Bargain. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice X creatures. Destroy X target non-land permanents. Night's Whisper. I draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. Cultivate. Search your library for 2 basic lands. 1 in your hand, 1 in the battlefield tapped and shuffle. Culling Ritual. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Add black or green for each permanent destroyed this way. And that is the entire deck. So basically I've upgraded the deck. I got a little bit of inspiration from, a few different channels and stuff. And then kind of just went with my own thing, kind of. But yeah, so that's going to be end of this episode of our deck review. But I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend, and you take care. And remember, you guys are all Oshawott approved, and keep slinging those spells. Bye.